There are two service umbilicals still attached to the side of the Soyuz booster. The first of those will retract around the T-33 second mark, and the second will retract about 12 seconds before launch, initiating the engine start sequence and resulting in the turbopumps coming up to flight speed and the hold-down arms being retracted to allow for liftoff and the beginning of Progress' journey to the station. Again, that liftoff time coming up at 10:45 p.m. Central, which is 9:45 a.m. Baikonur time. Launch through spacecraft separation is controlled at the blockhouse in Baikonur, but at the time of separation, flight control will be transferred to the team at the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow. The first stage of the Soyuz 2.1A booster has liquid fuel engines and strap-on boosters. Those are currently fully fueled.
We'll return to Best of the Carolina Weather Group
Those
in a
white
moment.
clouds you see
Now
coming from the
Carolina
rocket
weather forecast.
is the rocket itself venting liquid
Here are
oxygen.
today's forecast high temperatures
Completely
for North
normal.
Carolina.
Everything continuing to go smoothly as we proceed toward
Here are the
countdown. Now
forecast
about
lows
20
for
minutes
tonight for North
away until
Carolina.
liftoff.
Here are tomorrow's forecast high temperatures. And here's forecast rainfall across North Carolina tomorrow.
We'll be looking for several milestones tonight as we continue the countdown toward liftoff at 10:45 p.m. Central Time. The first of those will be at T-minus 7 minutes when a physical launch key is inserted at the launch bunker by the launch conductor to transition the launch sequence into automatic mode. Around T-minus 5 minutes and 30 seconds, the launch conductor in Baikonur will report if the range is clear and the Soyuz rocket is ready to begin its journey. At T-minus 4 minutes, onboard systems will switch to autonomous control, followed by the booster tanks being pressurized for flight, optimizing the flow of fuel. And inside 3 minutes and 30 seconds before launch, the key to the drainage position at the launch site will be turned into the proper position. Soyuz booster itself will go on internal power at T-minus 1 minute, and then we'll be looking to see those umbilicals, which you can see attached to the rocket. We'll look to see those retract beginning around T-minus 35 seconds. At T-minus 12 seconds, that second umbilical retraction will ignite engine start sequencing. And once the engine starts, the turbo pumps will come up to flight speed, eventually maximum thrust, and we will see liftoff at 10:45 p.m. Central Time. Now under 15 minutes until liftoff of the Progress 77 spacecraft. After liftoff tonight, we will stay on the air through several milestones. The first will be looking for first stage shutdown and separation at 1 minute and 58 seconds after launch. 3 minutes and 3 seconds after launch, we'll see the launch shroud jettisoned. That's the area protecting the spacecraft. At 4 minutes and 37 seconds after launch, we will see second stage shutdown and separation, and third stage ignition. Third stage will continue to fire until 8 minutes and 45 seconds after launch, when we see third stage shutdown, spacecraft separation, and orbital insertion. We'll stay on the air and look to see the unfurling of Progress solar arrays, as well as their navigation antennas and checkouts of the external camera. As we mentioned, this will be a 33 orbit rendezvous, with Progress arriving at the International Space Station Wednesday morning. It will complete an automated docking around 1:20 a.m. Eastern Time. 12 minutes now until liftoff of Progress 77 from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. As we mentioned, Progress is launching from Site 31, which is where all Soyuz launches currently take place until refurbishments are complete at Launch Site 1, called Gagarin Start, the launch pad from which Yuri Gagarin lifted off to become the first human in space, and that's 60-year anniversary coming up this April 12th. Minutes until liftoff of Progress 77. Once Progress arrives, it will dock to the Pirs docking compartment, where it will stay until later this year. Upon undocking, Progress 77 will extract the Pirs docking compartment to clear the nadir port and make way for the Nauka module to launch on a Proton rocket later this year. The team at the Russian Mission Control Center in Koryov outside of Moscow has confirmed their readiness for launch, now under 9 minutes until liftoff. Coming up on T minus 7 minutes until launch, that physical launch key preparing to be inserted at launch bunker by the launch conductor. This will transition the launch sequence into automatic mode. The next milestone coming up in about 1 minute, when the launch conductor in Baikonur will evaluate and report if the range is clear. And we've just heard the call that they are go for launch. Five minutes now until scheduled liftoff for the Progress 77 resupply craft from Site 31 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. Teams will begin purging the fuel lines of the rocket engines with nitrogen to fireproof them by removing any vapors of fuel and oxidizer. And coming up at T minus 4 minutes, the onboard systems will switch to autonomous control, followed by the booster tanks being pressurized for flight, optimizing the flow of fuel. Now inside 3 minutes and 30 seconds until launch, the key to the drainage position at the launch site will be turned into the proper position. The valves through which evaporated or gaseous O2 escapes from the fuel tanks into the atmosphere are closed, and fuel will begin draining back into the tanks to maintain proper weight distribution of the vehicle. And that process is underway. This view of the Russian Mission Control Center in the town of Koryov outside of Moscow. Flight control teams monitoring the vehicle. Coming up on 2 minutes and 30 seconds until liftoff. At the 1 minute and 30 second mark, the ground propellant feed to the first stage of the Soyuz booster will be terminated, and at T minus 1 minute, the Soyuz booster itself will go on internal power. The booster propellant tank pressurization has been initiated. And that T minus 1 minute and 30-second mark, we'll be looking for that ground propellant feed to the first stage of the Soyuz booster to be terminated. Now under 1 minute until launch. Soyuz booster will be on internal power. In about 10 seconds, we'll be looking for retraction of the first umbilical. The vehicle is on internal power, and there's retraction of the first umbilical, looking for the second to come in at about the T minus 12 second mark. The launch command has been issued. We have engine start and the second umbilical tower separation. Turbo pumps at flight speed and liftoff of the 77th Progress resupply vehicle for its 2-day, 33-orbit journey to the International Space Station. The flight continues nominal so far, first stage. Structural parameters are nominal, and this animation showing us what is happening with the Soyuz 2.1A booster. Its first stage engines continuing to fire. Vehicle is reported stable, and that first stage continuing until about 1 minute and 58 seconds after launch. Now 1 minute into the flight of Progress 77. Parameters being reported as nominal. At liftoff, the International Space Station was flying 260 statute miles over southern Argentina. Everything continuing to be reported as nominal. And we've had first stage shutdown and separation. Strap-on solid rocket boosters have been jettisoned. The spacecraft now traveling at 4,500 miles per hour in velocity, 29 miles in altitude, and 29 miles downrange from the Cosmodrome. Continuing to hear nominal calls. Coming up next at about 3 minutes after launch, we'll see the launch shroud jettison, as you've seen in this animation. Now 3 minutes into the flight of Progress 77 aboard a Soyuz 2.1A rocket. The vehicle is stable. All good reports on its journey to the International Space Station. Now traveling 5,200 miles per hour, and we've just had confirmation of the launch shroud jettison. Coming up at 4 minutes and 37 seconds after launch, the second stage shutdown and separation will occur. Everything continuing to be nominal, now 3 minutes and 47 seconds after launch. This view from the balcony of the Russian Mission Control Center in Koryov. And reports of the second stage engine functioning nominally. The view on the screen in the Russian Mission Control Center, a camera on the upper stage of the Soyuz 2.1A booster. And with second stage separation, we have third stage ignition. The vehicle now traveling 9,300 miles per hour. All reports coming back clear for progress and the Soyuz 2.1A booster as it continues its journey to the International Space Station. The third stage engines continue operating as planned. And those third stage engines will continue to burn until 8 minutes and 45 seconds after launch, so under 3 minutes from now. Good data from Progress 77 and its third stage continuing to burn now 6 minutes and 35 seconds after liftoff. Less than 2 minutes until third stage shutdown. Now 7 minutes into the flight, everything continuing to proceed as planned. Good pitch, roll, and yaw programs of the vehicle. Just about 1 minute now until third stage shutdown. Those third stage engines continuing to fire as planned, the vehicle operating well. About 30 seconds left in this third stage. And you can see third stage shutdown and separation from the Progress 77 vehicle, right on time, 8 minutes and 45 seconds after launch. And the unfurling of Progress 77's solar arrays.
We'll return to Best
The
of the
second set of
Carolina Weather
antennas
Group in a
have been
moment.
deployed
Now, your
as well.
Carolina weather forecast. Here are today's forecast.
Teams on the
temperatures for
ground
North
will
Carolina.
begin testing the external television camera.
Here are the forecast lows for tonight for North Carolina. Here are tomorrow's forecast high temperatures. And here's forecast rainfall across North Carolina tomorrow.
All parameters being
Here are
reported
the
as
forecast
nominal.
highs for the day after tomorrow. This is the total rainfall forecast across North Carolina for the next 3 days.
And with spacecraft separation, the flight control has been transferred to this team here at the Russian Mission Control
Here's the
Center
severe
outside of
thunderstorm
Moscow in the
outlook
town of
for
Koryov.
today from the Storm Prediction Center.
Hearing good reports about the Progress solar arrays, which we saw deployed from the spacecraft. Pre-programmed engine firings will raise Progress altitude to match that of the station. The spacecraft now traveling about 17,500 miles per hour in its preliminary altitude of 125 statute miles. Recapping some milestones from today, liftoff occurred on time at 10:45 p.m.
Here's the
Central
severe
Time,
thunderstorm outlook
9:45
for today
a.m. at the
from the
launch
Storm
site in
Prediction Center.
Baikonur. The Soyuz 2.1A booster lifted off from Site 31 in Baikonur, and all 3 stages operated as expected, propelling Progress into its preliminary orbit, where it now resides.
Here's the severe thunderstorm outlook.
Progress will
for
stay at the
today
station
from
on the
Storm Prediction
Earth-facing
Center.
side of the Russian segment until later this year. Upon undocking, it will extract the Pirs docking compartment and clear the port for the Nauka module to launch on a Proton rocket. Coming up next for Progress 77, you can tune in for live coverage of its automated docking to the station.
There are
early
everyday
Wednesday
actions
morning,
to help
beginning at
prevent the
12:30
spread of
a.m.
respiratory
Eastern Time, with
diseases.
that docking
Wash your hands.
scheduled around
Avoid close
1:20
contact with people who are
Eastern
sick.
Time.
Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick.
And with good
Cover
reports
your
from
cough or
Progress,
sneeze.
thank you for joining
Clean
our
and
launch
disinfect
coverage tonight.
frequently
We hope
touched
you'll tune in
objects
for
with household
docking on
cleaning
Wednesday
spray.
morning.
For more information,
This is
visit
Mission Control Houston.
cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
You can't know someone has COVID-19 just by looking at them. Anyone can get it. But while you can't know who is carrying the virus, you should know that everyone who wears a mask has a reason to fight it. Whatever your reason, get behind the mask.
We all admire the frontline workers and first responders for their life-saving work. You too can help save a life. The simple act of blood donation takes only about an hour of your time, but it can mean the difference between life and death for patients facing COVID, cancer, surgery, or trauma right now. In fact, every 2 seconds, someone in the U.S. needs blood. Please help a patient in need by making an appointment to donate blood. Go to redcrossblood.org today.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal